All right, guys. Polini bike update number 3, 4, something like that. Obviously, this is not a Polini AM6. I can't continue with my motor. It's pretty much done, but I can't get it on the bike since I'm waiting for my hardened clutch plates. I didn't realize that with the new HPI ignition, I can't run the same clutch setup anymore. To make a new one, I need another set of plates, and Gabe hasn't sent me the rest of mine yet. I just have my first one, but not his fault. I told him don't worry about it because I already had one. Didn't think I wouldn't be able to use it. So since I can't work on the Polini AM6, decided to dust off the engine dyno. I've had this for probably 6-7 months already, but haven't touched it since I got it. Wasn't a priority, but got nothing else to work on now, so engine dyno's out. I have a bone stock 212 Predator from Harbor Freight. Literally took it out of the box, ran it up to temp, let it cool. Gonna do that again and then change the oil. Get that to be what I use to calibrate the dyno. Once the dyno shows 6.75 horsepower on this guy, I know it's accurate, and then I can start working with my 2-strokes. Couple plans for this dyno. I got it from a go-kart racing guy. That was like 2 hours from me. Really cool guy, by the way. Got a lot of badass stuff in his shop, but couple changes I want to make to it right now. It's very simple. You got your hydraulic pump. This guy pumps the fluid from a reservoir. We went overkill on the reservoir. Obviously, it's a nice big reservoir, keeps the fluid cooler. Got a thermocouple to measure the oil temp. That's important because you want a dyno at the same hydraulic fluid temp every time to make sure your results are repeatable. Pertec hoses, which is like the best you can get, super expensive. Then back here, instead of using a cheesy PSI gauge, he's using a German lab grade pressure sensor. This thing is like 0.01% accurate. It's a Wicca. They're like 100 something bucks. And then I have the hydraulic regulator. This is how you increase pressure to it. So how these type of dynos work compared to an inertia dyno, you're measuring actual live torque, but calculating it off of fluid. So the pump has a set volume, a set amount of fluid it pumps per rotation, and then you restrict the outlet to force the pump to work harder, which forces the engine to work harder. Based on the flow of the pump, the pressure it's making at a certain RPM, you can calculate the actual torque the engine's making and then get the horsepower from that. He had it set up with that pressure sensor going to analog data acquisition setup thing, and then he was plotting it through a spreadsheet. This is the electronics it came with. I put this in here, don't worry about that. So as you can see, the dude knew what he was doing, man. We've got multiple thermocouple outlets. You got customized DIN connectors, a little 12-volt power supply. This is a line filter to clean the signal. And then he was running this through Cat5 into a separate data box. I'm modernizing it a little bit. I got this little ATX motherboard tray and this DataQ digital DAC. I'm gonna make it all digital. Probably gonna ditch the line filter. I won't need this anymore. Replace this with a PC power supply. Run a micro ATX little computer in here, and then run the DataQ right to the computer. Once I have it standard PC, this guy comes with software where I can set specs for every channel. I can use the data sheet from this for the exact voltage per PSI, so it's totally accurate. Then I could export and plot the data automatically from the PC, so I could have nice horsepower and torque versus RPM graphs. The electronics are going to be a while before I get all of this set up. I just don't really have time to work on it, and this is time consuming. But this is already functional. It's been sitting outside for months, and we've been through multiple storms and hurricanes, starting to get a little surface rust. Once I have it working how I like, I'm going to strip it, paint it, put it back together nice and pretty, then get the electronics set up. Then I'm going to have my engine dyno good to go. For now, I'm going to keep this setup how it is and just upgrade the acquisition side. My plans eventually, I'm going to step up. This pump is good to about 30 horsepower. I think the kart racing forum said 34 or whatever thing they want to use. I can use that on motor, but I'm not going to be able to use this on spray. So I'm going to upgrade to a larger pump, mount it down here, and then mount it to a torque arm. if I have it mounted to a force sensor, like a load cell torque arm, I can directly measure torque without having to go through calculations and stuff like that, which isn't as accurate, and it will be an actual load cell dyno. Once it's on the load cell, I can upgrade to your dyno software if I want, or I could continue using the cheap data queue, however I want to do it. But that'll let me run up to 100 horsepower instead of up to 30. Again, the motorized bicycles are fun and everything, but if I want to justify a lot of the expenses I'm spending on this hobby, I got to be able to do more than just motorized bikes. If I get a pump that I can do 120 horsepower, now I can do built Banshee engines, small motorcycle engines. Like, it opens up a lot more possibilities than just the 20 to 30 horsepower motors. But that is what I am working on now until I get my hardened gear set in for the second version of the clutch. Everything's installed, the HPI is dialed in, like everything's ready on the motor. I just need to get a new hardened clutch plate to move the 3DM to the right side, because the HPI sticks out too far for how I had it. But yeah, gonna have an engine dyno completely set up. Excuse the mess, I moved around a million things. I started using this as a table for a while, it's been out here so long. But yeah, that is what I am working on now. I'm gonna get an engine dyno and I'll be able to prove how much power the motors make. I'm also interested in a lot of comparisons, saw engines, different types of Minarellis. Once you got an engine dyno, like, possibilities are endless. Plus, it's going to help me tune my digital HPI when I start messing with the custom maps and stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I will update as soon as I make any progress on anything. Talk to you later.